In this video, we're going to talk about using labels in Testim, why you would use them, and some of the benefits. But before we begin, we're going to assume that you've logged into Testim and you've gone ahead and created some tests. Let's get started. So if we click over here and click on Test List and click on Labels, this is where you would go ahead and actually create a label. But before we do that, we might want to level set and explain why you would use labels. There's two main reasons. The first reason is to quickly organize your tests. So if we go back over here on tests and we look at, I could filter on labels, so I could search for any tests that have a particular label associated with them. The other reason of using labels is to label tests that you want to use later in your CI/CD process. You can also leverage them and use them in test plans, and we're going to show you some of those benefits and those use cases in just a moment. But let's go ahead and create a new label. Let's call this one Smoke. If we go back over here to the editor, this is a test case that we created. So what we can do is we can look for the label that we just created, and we're going to tag this test with this smoke, with the label Smoke. So let's go ahead and save this. The other thing I can do is if I go back to the test case list, I can highlight multiple tests at the same time. I could do more than one, and we could look for the label Smoke, and I could click that. So now these tests, as you can see here, they have multiple labels associated with them. So once we've labeled our tests and we can kind of filter and see how we can search tests with certain labels from an organization standpoint, I also can go in here, and in this test plan, I could also pass in the label Smoke. So any test that has the label Smoke is going to run as part of this test plan. So I could delete this particular label, and on any test with Smoke associated with it, with that label, is going to run in this example. Another example of when and why I would use labels would be if I was using a CI/CD tool, like for example Jenkins here. What I could do is I could basically pass in a label Smoke that we just created. So in this example, if I put this into my Jenkins build and created another job in Jenkins, for this particular example, any test case labeled Smoke is going to execute as part of this Jenkins pipeline job. So it can be really helpful to do that. This is obviously Jenkins. I could actually also do it locally as well. I could pass in the label Smoke if I wanted to run tests with the CLI from the command line locally on my desktop. So hopefully this provided some overview of how and when to use labels and some of the benefits. Go out to our website or reach out to us if you have additional questions or information.